Mark, welcome back
I am very
to
glad.
the show. Sorry.
No worries. All good, all good. I am very glad to be back from I guess I'm going to say holiday break. I took the last week of December off, and we're back in the new year, starting off strong. Back to our, here it is, regular scheduled programming.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, I kind of missed it. I definitely sold because we were supposed to have this episode right before the new year, but I was getting ready to go off to the great state of Kentucky, and I just couldn't fit it in. I was just running around
Yeah.
so much. It was that was a very busy day.
Yeah, it got really complicated, but we still had a good time. I definitely enjoyed my holiday vacation. I went out with family. Went to go see a concert instead, so that was very nice. Definitely changed it up this year.
Are we going to introduce our special guest?
Oh, my cat? Yeah.
Yeah, guys, John's cat. Generally, he's here for our pre-recording and warm-ups, and then he goes upstairs to do all the final editing. But today, he's here with us in the studio.
Well, what really happened is that we closed the door on him and he didn't leave yet. And we just be like, just keep him down here.
Yeah, he was
He's
drinking
cute
some
enough.
water, and he's like now he's just vibing.
Yeah, he gets to drink water while we get to drink booze. So that's great.
Yeah, and so this episode is gonna be a little bit of a different one. We may go off on some tangents here and there, but we're really gonna be talking about our vision for the podcast. I guess a year in review.
I'd say so.
A year in review, and kind of also invite you guys to join this conversation. You guys are part of our community here at What's in Your Cup. So also, what you guys think of this, these last couple of episodes. I would say borderline season, a season. And
Well, then I can make this the season finale.
we should make it the season
for the new
finale.
year, and then I'll start season 2.
Yeah.
Because apparently Spotify has that. You can categorize them as seasons. Apparently.
We should do that. Yeah, we should definitely do that. Like this would be the season finale of season 1, and what you guys, I guess, kind of think, and also I guess we'll just have like a conversation. So to start it off, how was your 2023? Just in general, like not even the podcast, just how was your 2023 looking back?
I'd say it was pretty good for the most part. A lot of it was spent just kind of hustling a little bit, getting things going, getting the podcast started, going back to work, following a lot of applications, at least on my end, to change things up. But I'd say it was both calm and just very work based.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's definitely like when you said like this is really hustling, because for those who may not know, John does all the editing for this. You do all the editing for this podcast. So it's like when we finish recording, your job isn't so much done. It's just beginning.
Yeah.
This is the easy part. And so to our listeners, John, this was his idea, and we were talking about this for a while. I would say like a couple of years before we actually pulled the trigger.
Which one of us suggested that we do one?
It was definitely like you, Mike, and I were definitely just drunk at a bar, and we're like, we should start a podcast.
And we didn't get arrested yet. That's a
yeah,
good
we
sign.
didn't get arrested yet.
You see all those memes online. After one episode, you're already getting the FBI just shows up to your house.
Yeah. So, and it's really interesting because, what this podcast has really just taught me is to just have fun. Not everything needs to be like rehearsed. Like my life is very much, I would say, structured, and I like it structured, but like I have my day job, go to the gym, I do this, and this podcast kind of just gives me like an outlet just to, allow my creative side to come out, drink some booze, shit talk for an hour and a half. And it's super fun. But my year in 2023, it was really, like you said, work-based. This was like the first full year I was fully in the workforce. I officially graduated in 2022. kind of entered the workforce in mid 2022 or earlier 2022. But this was like the first year where I'm like, you're no longer the new guy. I'm like middle tier now in terms of like the hierarchy in my office.
You can't say like, oh, I've only been working here for a little bit of time.
Like that doesn't fly anymore.
That excuse doesn't work anymore.
That excuse does not fly anymore. So it's definitely a transition. And and also this was the first year where I really like felt I'm not a student anymore, if that makes sense, where where I had a student mentality for so long, because that was our entire lives, we're just students. But now it's like, oh, I work, I'm not like a student worker, or I'm not, this isn't school anymore.
I don't have to write research papers anymore.
So that is really what 2023 was, like that transition year between like college and young adult. I'm still a young adult, obviously, but transitioning more into like my mid 20s, because I turned 25 in September. So
You're old.
That's a big 25. So
halfway to 50.
Might as well get my cane out.
Let's go.
And
definitely use a cane, not a crutch. You get more sympathy by using a cane.
And also, I feel like I also want the cool cane. I'd want like a nice, You
want it like bedazzled, or does it have to...
No, I want to go like canceled. I want like the ivory from like the elephant tusk. Yeah.
Just shaved down to a point.
Shaved down. I want like an elephant tusk cane, like from the 1800s.
Okay. I'm like envisioning it now.
The nice ivory, handle, but. And 2023 also was, a big year for work. It was also, I would say, just a big year creatively. Like you said, like this was the podcast. This was the year where we started it. What month did we start it?
I think it was June of 2023.
Wow. So we're almost coming up on like a year. We're a little ways.
We're like 6 months, 7 months into it.
Yeah, but that's a lot. That is a lot.
Yeah.
That is a temporary employment contract. 6 months.
Don't get any funny ideas.
Yeah. SEC.
Yeah, okay.
This is my plea for help. Lost wages.
We don't have ads yet, so I don't have to pay you anything.
But no, so what was like your highlights of 2023?
Well, definitely starting the podcast was definitely a highlight. Then... honestly, I was just working most of the time. I was working. I spent a lot of time with friends, just being out on my own most of the time. That's about it. Yeah,
I would say my experience was really similar. Like the podcast was definitely a big highlight for me because, that was just like, it's really a project that obviously you spearheaded, but it was just like to be part of that project was actually like a big honor to me. I'm not trying to toot your horn. I'm not trying to gas you up too much. But it was a really like
you're just as big of a part of this.
I know,
show,
too. I know. But it was like you were the one though that pulled the trigger on it. You were like, let's do it, and then I was like, all right. And another big part of it, I think, was me just growing professionally. Like this was a year of like professional growth, and. What was really interesting was when I was on the drive to Kentucky. Yes, you heard that right. The drive to Kentucky.
Was it like a 11-hour, 10-hour drive?
It's about a 14-hour drive, but I did it in 12. Yeah, we were hauling ass. But so we were listening to podcasts. And what's really interesting is I like to listen to podcasts to get inspiration for this one. So that's why I really like our label as like pop culture, because it doesn't give us an avenue. Or it doesn't give us like a real constraint. But I know one singular thing that a lot of like these podcasts have, and I was really talking to my sister about it, is every podcast has like some comedian. And if there's another comedian on that podcast, they will spend the first 15 minutes like sucking each other's dicks. They would be like
talking about like how famous they are.
They're like, welcome back to John, who sold out every single, stadium and blah, blah, blah. And the running gag this year between my sister, her boyfriend who came with us, my cousin and I was like, when people would be like, oh, you know, how you doing? We'd be like, you know, it's just like, you know, it's just because there's this one podcast. It's a true crime podcast. Oh wait, no. It's a podcast about cults.
Okay.
Which is really cool, by the way. I'm not gonna name it because you know, I don't know how these people would feel because
wait.
Yeah.
Are you praising them or talking shit about them?
A little bit of both.
Hey, you could
Yeah.
say it. I don't think it matters.
Oh well, it's called.
We need a little bit of beef.
A little bit of beef. Oh, this is. We're gonna be like the Jake Paul. We're gonna like get these people to give us clout so we can beef with them.
No. It's like when you know how like MGK and Eminem were beefing.
Yeah.
But the only result was that it made MGK more famous.
Are you saying we're MGK?
We can.
So the podcast was not a cult. And it's basically these two women that run the podcast, and they basically just take weird avenues of society and basically argue, is it a cult or is it not a cult? So they were like the cult of Reddit, right? So we're listening to it, and I'm just like, these women are very like live, laugh, love. And like they were like, yeah, Reddit is like so culty and very like very niche, and people like, who runs Reddit? Who owns Reddit? And I'm just like, it's the mods, bro. Like, everybody knows this. It's the mods that run Reddit. And all these subreddits, are anonymous, but most of the Reddits are for shit posting. Like, that is literally the internet. And these women, the two hosts, were like, yeah, you know, if you don't have a Reddit, I hate a Reddit forum that hates on you, you haven't made it yet.
Interesting. Okay.
And I'm just like, that's an interesting benchmark to judge success. And they also try to blame Reddit for like January 6th and all this. And I'm like, that's definitely 4chan.
No, that's a 4chan.
That is 100% 4chan.
100%.
And when they said that, I was like, all right, yeah, these people don't know anything what they're talking about. But what I didn't know is that, you know, Reddit is valued at like, you know, multi-billion dollars. Like it's like
I wouldn't be surprised by that.
But it's so weird because like its interface is like early 2000s.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's more about like how many users are on it. Like, does Reddit have ads?
I don't know because I only go on Reddit very briefly when I like Google something uber specific and I see like there's a subreddit for it.
Yeah, like a Quora type situation, like asking questions and shit. I'm not surprised by that. I feel like it's just the amount of people that use it brings up its value, and there are like millions of people on Reddit on like every day. Yeah,
but another podcast that I was listening to on our way back from Kentucky was a true crime podcast, and that dynamic and those people and like those co-host dynamics was really interesting because the Not a Cult podcast, it was very much more of like an interview, and they would like, so the host would present a question and then the co-host, who's more of the expert on cults because the real host is a comedian, and the co-host is kind of like the real expert in cult behavior and you know what makes a cult, and some of the episodes were pretty interesting.
So you got like the straight man and the comic duo type thing. He's talking about the cults, and the other guy's just making fun of those people. Okay. That seems like a good dynamic.
The true crime podcast was more of both are experts in the topic, and they're talking about these crimes and what happened and is the person guilty or not. And, you know, it's just interesting to see like different dynamics on different podcasts and what makes them successful and such. But I know with our podcast, I kind of see as like we kind of bounce off of each other. Like we'll both present questions and we'll both kind of like, oh, you know, like we're thinking out loud in a way.
We're able to do create a good conversation without like much planning or much storyboarding. Yeah.
Yeah. Like for those who are listening, like John and I, and then at the time, John Alyssa and I, John Mike and I, John Spencer and I, we can't forget about Spencer. We kind of just, the mics are on and we're going.
It was literally like just coming home after work for an hour, just having like a fun conversation. Yeah. And just getting into a topic that we wanted to think about for a while.
Yeah. And what do you think your favorite episode if you can think back of all the episodes we've done this season.
I loved having the gorilla versus grizzly conversation just because it was fun. I was like, I was also just like on a grind, like with Joe, because I listen to Joe Rogan all the time.
Yeah.
And like a lot of times he usually like brings that up, like some type of wild animal that's like crazy. And then somewhere on my feed, I guess just like a bunch of gorillas started like habitats in Africa started popping up on my, I don't know why. And I was
They're
like
listening, the phones are listening.
and I was like, this would be what an interesting conversation this would be.
I feel like we kind of went hard too on that conversation.
Yeah, pitting up like two giant animals against each other. See who would win.
I still stand behind that. I believe the gorilla, if the gorilla gets on top of the grizzly bear, will win.
If he can.
But if the grizzly bear corners the gorilla's fucked. Like it's done. It's a wrap.
That was my most sorry.
No,
That's my most fun one. But my favorite episode, maybe honestly, when you told me about the Bored Ape conspiracy.
I was just about to say that.
Like we did like a very big like deep dive into it. Especially when I saw like the logo comparisons that we did before, and I was like, yeah, this seems like it could exist. Or it's just a bunch of trolls like taking advantage of us.
Yeah, I was about to say that was my favorite episode. I would say a close second was when we spoke about the manosphere. That was another one. And then I also liked just, the silverback gorilla versus grizzly bear, like who would win, like that just like friendly banter. And that like we have a very similar wavelength. But yeah, I really like the Bored Ape Yacht Club conspiracy because when I saw the video from Philion, it was just like, what? Just completely left
Too
field.
many coincidences that came into a conspiracy.
Did you ever watch the video, if you mind me asking?
I did not.
Oh, well, the video is like an hour and a half long.
But he does like a
melts
deep
your
dive.
brain.
He
It
does.
literally melts your brain on how esoteric 4chan is. And for those who may not know what esoteric means, that's basically just like you only know. Like you're in the know. Like if you have an inside joke, that's technically like esoteric.
Yeah.
And no, that's that. And I would say really the early episodes. And you know what? No, wait. Let me backtrack. I really like the Catholic school episode as well. That one because
we've had so much experience in
Yeah.
that avenue that it was like it made for like a great conversation. And we got to like just tell people like what that experience is like.
we told them our origin story.
Yeah.
For you, what do you think like for me, the inspiration for this podcast is definitely like Joe Rogan. Would you agree with that statement?
Definitely, yeah. I've always wanted. I just like the idea of just talking about anything, but just turning it into an entertaining conversation. Literally anything. It could be food. It could be travel. It could be society and culture. It could be like whatever comedy special on Netflix you just watched. But I don't know. I just turning it into either a comedic or an interesting conversation, and then you always learn something along the way. Like obviously we don't go on for like 3 or 4 hours, but
Not yet.
But I think like every episode, whether you listen to it for like 20 minutes, listening to it for 4 hours, has like some piece of information you didn't know about. And even if you can't recall it now, eventually it will. You know how like when you can't technically memorize everything, but like some key phrase or a part of a conversation will trigger a memory, so then you can remember and you talk about it.
Yeah.
It feels like one of those things.
I heard something along the lines of you never forget anything. It's just your brain chooses it's not important.
Yeah, so it keeps it in the back. It keeps it in the back wave, and then every time, like whether it's a keyword or a specific conversation, like someone's saying something specifically, your brain will open memories related to that subject.
Like,
so then you end up remembering it.
Like, do you know when you dream, your brain cannot literally create a face? So all the faces that you see in your dream, even if it's people you don't know, you've seen at one point.
Yeah.
Like, that is just a perfect example of your brain doesn't forget anything. It just chooses to ignore it. Like, it's not important information.
For right now, it's not.
For right now. But yeah, like for me, I would say Joe Rogan is a big influence for this podcast because like you said, it's just just interesting and entertaining, that you could take something super mundane
Yeah.
and make
Like-
it like people would want to listen to it. Like Joe Rogan will have, obviously he'll have his big hitters, the controversial guests.
Yeah.
But when you literally go down the roster of over like 1,000 episodes,
2,000 episodes.
2,000 episodes, it's mostly just like random ass people, like, oh, I climbed this freaking mountain.
Yeah.
Like I remember there
Or
was
like a guy that traversed like the entire Amazon on a trip and talks about like how
Yeah.
he survived death 3 times.
Yeah. And I would love to, like, I guess have, someone like that we can just like interview, like, bro, what? Like, imagine just like having somebody there that's like, yeah, like I hiked all through across Siberia, and just like the stuff that they've seen and possibly have done. Question mark? So yeah, that's like one big inspiration I have for this podcast. And that's why, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's why we decided to do a society and culture podcast, or like a pop culture podcast, because we didn't want to be constrained to one avenue.
Yeah.
Like, we've dabbled talking about like politics. We talk a lot about like pop culture, like movies, stuff like that. Talked a little bit about social culture and all of that. But the minute that you pick one avenue, your audience becomes very limited. It becomes very, we're not in the business of telling people what to think. We're just here.
Yeah, we can reach out to a much larger audience. Yeah.
And people can just tune in and be like, oh, what are Jon and Mark thinking of today? Yeah. So with that being said, what do you think is your vision for season 2?
For season 2.
Like, what do you want to see? Where do you see the podcast going? What are some areas you think we can improve on? Just think, you're kind of like your 2 cents.
First thing on my mind is switching to a video format. Definitely want to get that going. I've just been saving up money from work and then going to invest, because I have one camera already that I've been using for like every other film project I've ever done, but I can't center it because our space is small. It's a basement. So I'm gonna get a second camera and then start getting into more like a video format so that we can post better videos. Get a couple additional attachments for our audio equipment, just for better pop filters, better this, and then I'd say just more, definitely like getting on the YouTube short and TikTok.
We gotta hit those algorithms,
a
baby.
bit more because we'll post like clips of things here and there, but really just following those trends.
Yeah.
Because then, like, you see, like, edits everywhere. Like, well, you see, like, fan bases doing edits for these podcasts, things like that. But, like, that's really where it's taking off now. And, like, again, like, sites like YouTube are very important, but the YouTube Shorts and the TikToks and even on Twitter, like, anything less than a minute, that's what's really the thing now.
Society's attention span has shrunk
If it's not within less than a minute, people probably aren't paying attention to it.
Yeah.
So we need to push that grind more. Mm-hmm. And those are just the top off the top of my head, definitely.
Yeah. I would say that my vision for the podcast is building our presence on platforms. So Spotify is definitely our bread and butter right now in terms of and going on a side tangent, I remember you showed me part of the Spotify analytics, and we have like 20,000 impressions. So there's 20,000 people out there that know of this podcast or have at least listened to at least 20 seconds of the podcast. And so I definitely want to see how we can retain some of those people, get them into our community. Also, just like we spoke about before the show, just building out our platforms on Twitter, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram as well, and just kind of getting our podcast out there because I think we're pretty entertaining, not to have confirmation bias. But I really think we are entertaining, and I do think that we have a unique kind of message out there, kind of just like we just kind of like you said, come back from work. We don't storyboard. We go right away, and like every episode is like, "Oh, what did you guys do today?" Or like, "What did you guys?"
Just a little bit of authenticity for everything.
Yeah, I feel like we're very authentic in that way. Where not to toot our own horns too much, but where other podcasts, and I guess this is where their strength is, and our air quotes weakness is, they know what they're going to talk about, very rehearsed, and they don't deviate too much from that. While we go just where the conversation, like it's really the conversation is what leads the podcast, where, you know, I'll say something, you go, oh, well, that reminds me of something else, you know. And yeah, and just also wanting to garner more, I guess, audience participation in the podcasts, where, you know, the audience feels comfortable that they've listened to us for multiple episodes. So I hope they feel comfortable just kind of giving us ideas like, oh, you know, talk about this, or, you know, what do you think about this? Obviously, we're not going to do that to the extreme, because at that point we just become Sneeko. At some point, we just become Aiden Ross's Sneeko, just dictated by the masses. or become Neon.
Yeah, but I'd like to know. I'd like to know more about like people's opinion of each episode.
Yeah,
because, you know, we're still growing, I guess. You know, not as many comments, but I'd still like to get at least a good opinion going.
Yeah,
and every bit of criticism is constructive, so we can always work with it.
You got to be careful about that. YouTube be like, constructive criticism. It's like, you are shit. But,
fair use? Where did you learn that term?
Oh my gosh, fair use. People are about to flag our YouTube channel left and right. But yeah, and I made a little list before the episode started. Kind of like some stuff that I think or just be interesting to revisit in season 2.
Wait. Before you read that list... Do we want to jump to the drinks real quick? Because we are half an hour in.
Oh, wow. Oh, half an hour in? All right, yeah, let's jump into the drinks.
First, you have to give a little description.
Milk.
It just looks it just looks like milk.
Oh, wait.
Okay.
I think I know what this is because I am half Puerto Rican, but...
I already know exactly what you're going to say.
But let me taste test it first.
All right.
I do think it is what I think it is.
What is it?
Am I going to say coquito?
You wish, but no.
Oh, shit. So then, is this eggnog?
Is that your final answer?
No, it's not. Because I think eggnog is in here. It's very thick. I swear, if you just put milk with some red, my stomach is churning when I go to sleep. Oh, no.
Well, see, the funny thing is that Alyssa brought me a bottle of coquito for Christmas, but I drank it all.
How did you like it?
I liked it a lot, actually.
Yeah, that's like a big thing in it's like, Hispanic culture.
It's like eggnog with rum and cinnamon.
Whoa.
That's what it said on Google. It was like Spanish eggnog.
Whoa. Do not disrespect
That's
Coquito
what it
like
said
that.
on Google.
Do not disrespect Coquito like that. We're going to get so much hate.
Then talk to Google.
We're going to get so much hate. Did you consult Spanish Google?
No.
But
I went on Bing, actually.
Oh, damn. You were in the trenches.
Yeah.
But I know that coquito is also usually presented. I don't know if other cultures in the Caribbean do it, but they also present you with pasteles. So you have like, do you know what a pastele is?
No.
So it's kind of like this, I would say this, before I get too much hate, kind of like this mashed plantain with like, meat or some sort of like meat inside of it, and it's wrapped around in plantain leaves. It's very good. Difficult to make. Like, most people don't make it. They pay somebody else to make it. So it'd be like, if you want to make a lot of money, John, your mom, your brother, and your father learn how to make pasteles and just sell them during this time of the year to a bunch of Hispanic families. And you'll have the orders lining up. But it's a very traditional thing where you have some coquito and then people bring you pasteles and like, it's just kind of like a Christmas tradition that a lot of Hispanic families do.
Okay.
Yeah, my family, I have a cousin, her name is Valerie, makes very good coquito. But she doesn't really make pasteles as I know. I know she makes flan. Like that, but her flans kind of go crazy. Like she'll make like 40 flans and sell them.
Just to sell
yeah,
them.
just to sell them. Like you'll put an order in for a flan, and she only has an oven that makes 2 at a time. So imagine making like 40 flans in the course of 5-6 weeks.
Okay.
Like that's a lot. That may not be a lot every day, but that's just a lot in terms of just making one dish in that short period of time, because she makes it between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So I think she should be done with making the flans now. Okay. But she's like, my oven only fits 2 of them. Like, and they take a while to make. It's not like overnight or not, within a day.
Okay.
So do you like flan or?
I like flan. Yeah, definitely.
No, there is a really funny story with my dad and my cousin Valerie that, again, side tangent. We were at a diner, and this was years ago, maybe like 10 years ago. And my cousin Valerie is just, having a beer and just, enjoying our company. And she wants a flan, right? And so my cousin Valerie asks, pretty like, jokingly, like, oh, I want the flan that, the Puerto Rican in the kitchen made, right? The waitress, she goes, actually, a flan is from Cuba. And my cousin Valerie is like, you could tell yourself that, but it's from Puerto Rico. And she's like, no, honey, it's from Cuba. Like, y'all took our flan.
No, honey, it's from Cuba.
Yeah, no, exactly like that. And they're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
They're trying to keep a smile, like, you sure about that?
Yeah, like, you sure about that?
Yeah, I don't think so.
You really want to do that? And then my dad comes in, and this is where you're going to take the W. He goes, actually, they say the origins of flan are from ancient Rome / Renaissance Italy.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell
and
yeah.
they both like turn around and just deadpan. They're like, shut up, white boy. Like, this is not your avenue. He's like, actually, flan has its origins in either Renaissance era Italy or ancient Rome. But
hell yeah.
It's just really funny. Like, but yeah, so going back to the drink. Mm-hmm. There's definitely eggnog in here.
If you want to say that, you're free to do so.
But eggnog already has alcohol in here. So it's just so weird that if you were to
some of them
don't. You're right. Like some of them.
Yeah, some of them, you can sell them either with or without. So
how do you feel about drinking eggs? Like I made a whiskey sour the other day for my girlfriend and I.
Oh, you used the egg whites this time?
Yeah, she had a shaker. She was like, make us a drink. And I was like, damn, I wish John was here. Like,
was it better with or without the
It was
egg
very
whites?
Frothy. So the whiskey sours we get are very like ready-made. This was much more of like an artisanal whiskey sour where I had a good bourbon. It was a shaker. So first, how the recipe that I followed it is you have quality bourbon, 2 ounces of bourbon. You use simple syrup. So for those who may not know simple syrup, it's very easy to make. You just boil, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. So 1 cup of water, 1 cup of sugar. Boil that, let it cool down to room temperature. And there's your simple syrup. And then you get lemon juice or lime juice. So there's 2 shakes. You do a dry shake and I don't know what the other shake is called, but it's like you throw ice in it. Maybe a chilled shake. Sue me if I don't know the terminology.
Shake.
Yeah. So what you do is you put all the ingredients. So you put the whiskey, in, a couple of dashes of the lemon juice, the simple syrup, and the egg white, and then you do a dry shake, and then you do that for about 20 seconds to get all like the mixture together.
Get a good mix going. Yeah.
And then you put the ice cubes in to just kind of chill the drink. And it was really good. But it was a little bit, It was maybe I made it a little too frothy. I don't know. If anybody in the audience knows how to make a good whiskey sour, that's your boy Mark's favorite drink. So please let us know in the comments.
It's a very good drink. I love it too.
Yeah. You know, when I was in Kentucky, my family, they're big bourbon drinkers. And I was like, oh, do you all like whiskey sour? They're like, I haven't had that since 1985. Like, why are you bringing this old ass drink up? Like, let it die. What they like are whiskey smash or like sour smash or something like that. It's like a play on a whiskey sour. So I have to try that now.
Is it like more sour or is it just...
I don't know. They were just saying like a whiskey smash, I think was the name of the bourbon drink. And they were like, oh.
I want to try this now.
Yeah.
I got to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. And also, you know what? If you guys, since you're a member of our community now, have drink ideas, let us know.
Definitely, yeah.
Send us drink ideas. Send us drink ideas. Like, you know, on the off chance that we have a mixologist in it, we'll give you a shout out, creds. We're not, what's the word I'm looking for? We're not greedy.
Yeah, yet.
Yeah, we're not greedy yet. You know, once we become sellouts, then we'll copyright it. And
once we get a Spotify deal, then we'll start copywriting everything.
How much money does Spotify need to give you to sell your soul?
Well, let's see.
I don't know. Joe Rogan was 100 million.
It could have been 200, I think.
Really? Oh wow.
Actually, let me double check.
I think it was 100 million for 10 years. But I'm not surprised if Joe asked
10 million a year.
So. I'm not surprised if Joe asked 200 million. That's why he's
with his audience, definitely.
Yeah. A lot of people, though, that was a very controversial move in the beginning to move to Spotify. Not a lot of people, like a lot of the diehard fans were like, oh, Joe sold out, you know.
First off, anyone would have taken that deal.
Yeah.
Not just him.
What are you asking? $100 million to walk away from $100 million? Are you dumb?
Yeah.
You know,
to do the thing that he loves the most doing.
Yeah.
Like, and his it says on Variety magazine that his Spotify deal is worth more than 200 million over 3.5 years.
Wow. So I actually stand corrected.
But it's suggested that the pact expires sometime in early or mid 2024. So he has to redo his Spotify deal.
100% he's going to redo it.
Yeah.
$200 million, bro.
Over the course of 3.5 years.
What? Let me.
So what's 200 million divided by
definitely like
3.5?
60 something million.
And I'm pretty sure he's like one of the only podcasts that has that kind of deal.
$57.14 million
a year.
Talk into a mic. God damn. You know what sucks is like the podcast market, and I love our podcast, but it's like so oversaturated where if you really wanted to make a living, unless, and I know we're going to hit it big, but unless like you wanted to go like be Joe Rogan type level famous on podcasts, you had to start at like 2010 when nobody was doing it.
He was one of the first ones to start, and then he just kept it going for years and years.
Yeah.
But now everyone has one. Every celebrity has one. Every
every politician has one.
Every politician has one. Every did I say every comedian?
I'm pretty sure every comedian.
Every comedian has one too.
And it's just like the podcasts. And you know, it's kind of cool because everyone now has a mic and everybody can just say what they think, whether you agree with that or not.
Not to say that it's like easy or not as easy, but like producing a podcast is nowhere near as difficult as doing like a TV show or a movie. So or making like a music video, you know, it's like, it's very easy to produce. You just need to be an entertaining person, or you need to have a topical or have like some type of knowledge that nobody else has, and send it out on the internet.
Didn't your school, your university, like I remember you told me, I'm not going to name the name, but their podcast was they just like sat in the middle, put their phone on record.
It was a business podcast that they started, and I think it was 3 or 4 of them. It was 3 or 4 business students. They would just put an iPhone in the middle of on the desk somewhere, press the record button on their camera, and just talk into it. And then someone would edit it and put it together on an audio file.
That's hilarious.
For the podcast. And I was like, interesting. But it's easy. And it sounded clear enough that it felt like a normal podcast.
For those who don't know, when we were first starting, John and Alyssa were working tirelessly to get all the mics synchronized, because we had a problem of not having 3 mics being able to talk at the same time. I remember I was over and we were going to, try to help. I know nothing about editing, like nothing. I just know I turn on the mic and I just start speaking, and the magic box records what I'm saying, right? But we were on YouTube because I forgot which files you were using, but I was like, oh, look at that thumbnail. That seems like a pretty good thumbnail. And they did what? What was it? What's the program?
The one that I'm currently using is OBS.
OBS. And they were talking about OBS. And I was like, oh, that's a super cool thumbnail, 10-minute video, super chill. And you're like, oh, I wonder if it works. You called me the next day and you were like, I'm so upset that 10-minute video
solved all of my problems. Because I think I was using, I'm pretty sure I still have the app over here. I was using Osseo. Do you remember Osseo?
I don't. I just know you and Alyssa were like so frustrated.
It was like Osseo and one other program to like set up, because that's the first thing that popped up, like the top one to use for recording on a computer. And so I was trying to implement it. I was trying to set it up with more than one microphone. It wouldn't work. I spent like days trying to figure it out. And then OBS figured it out in like 10 minutes. Not even. And then I was able to record everything perfectly fine. And that's what I'm using now.
Shout out OBS.
So I'm like, yeah. I was legit like, I wasted so much time trying to figure out Osseo, and I just use OBS. They say it's a working program. It just didn't work for my computer. I don't know why it wasn't working.
Well, we don't have an Apple. I know Apple is really big onto like the artistic, stuff.
Because I'm just using my work computer to record everything. So
yeah. Shout out to Microsoft. You don't work for Microsoft, but just shout out to Microsoft. Just
shout out to what computer I got? The Surface Pro.
Yeah, shout out to the
Surface Pro.
Our overlord Bill Gates. But yeah, going back to the list that I had regarding just like I think stuff that we could explore in the next season.
Yes.
So
let's hear it.
The first one is a possible series on an in-depth social faction like the manosphere, conspiracy theories, or social norms.
Okay.
So I was thinking like a miniature series that we pick one thing. So for argument's sakes, like we revisit like the Bored Ape Yacht Club conspiracy, and we just talk about like 4chan or something, and do like a miniature series.
Do like these little deep dives into like, the cultures.
Like, I don't want our podcast to become too engulfed in that, but obviously, maybe once a season or twice a season, we do like a 3 or 4 episode stint of just taking a deep dive into one of these things. The second one, possibly more interviewees. So,
yes, definitely.
More guests. Definitely, we want
to like create like a more range of conversations. Like get some knowledge on the industry or the subject that they're in. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So definitely, I'll start using my network to see who would want to be on and what they can offer and what advice and such like that. And then we spoke about this a little bit more, but again, just like establishing more socials and just building, I think, the community of listeners, because we demonstrated we have the consistency. We demonstrated that, we can meet an upload schedule. So it's kind of just now fostering this community of people who want to listen. And so that's really what my 3 things are. Anything, what do you think about those?
I like all 3 of them, actually. But I definitely think the like branching out for more interviewees or having like more like segments. And also, I think for the drink segment for itself,
I got to start pulling my weight on this.
No, not even that. I'm thinking more like I get like the segment is to come up with like a mystery drink and then figuring it out and then, testing everything.
Are we about to abandon this plot line?
No, I'm thinking like either getting more creative or like doing more specific, like
Cocktails.
if I tailor the drink specifically to the topic of the episode, but the thing is we don't plan that.
Yeah.
So it's random at all times.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking to myself, should we plan like a small topic and then base a drink off that? Or should I stick with what I'm doing right now?
I think for the time being, we should stick to what we're doing right now. But then maybe later on in the second season, when we get more of like a grounding, we could change that segment a little bit where, we start to do more tailored. Because we did in the beginning, like when Mike, going back to it, like did the Barbenheimer episode, tailored the drinks to that. Didn't he tailor the drinks also to the first episode? But it was more for like a memory, because I think the first episode was Long Island iced tea.
It was, yes.
Yeah. And then the second one was Barbenheimer. So we were doing that for a while. And then our bartender decided to move up north.
Yeah. He decided to finish school.
Yeah, but he's
for
going to
whatever
be back.
reason.
Yeah, he's going to be back. We miss him. His seat.
Yeah, it's his last semester.
Yeah.
He's coming back. He has to be with the boys again.
Mm-hmm. We wish him good luck on all of his endeavors.
No, I don't. I want him to fail. So then just come back early.
Just come back early. Just
Why do I got to wait until May?
I think he's... Wait, no, because he's also working. So I think he's going back and forth.
Oh, that's going to suck.
Yeah. Rest in peace, his gas bill.
Definitely, yeah. But still, good luck to him on everything. We miss him.
Mm-hmm. No. Another thing I would really like to do is, that just taking like a deep dive into some obscure thing where whether it's like talking, because we did have an episode about the manosphere, and I think that there's just so much interesting stuff in that, or just like a deep dive, let's say, into some like weird cultural phenomena, like whether it's like a political one or a social one, or just like something on Twitter, just stuff like that. Maybe we can take a deep dive into like the Epstein case, since that
list came out.
Yeah, my Twitter blew up.
Yeah,
I think this website crashed.
Twitter?
No, not Twitter or X, but no, like the website that originally posted the Epstein documents.
Wait, it crashed or it got taken down?
Crashed.
Because from how many people went on?
Yeah, because it was all his flight logs. That's what it was. So his flight logs were released onto this website, and so prior to this, they were all John or Jane Doe. So all of now the people who, outside of the victims, obviously, are unredacted. So the victims' names are still redacted, but for example, you got like Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Bill Gates, all the big ones.
Yeah.
But what was really interesting was I was reading on my Twitter. There's a guy I follow, JJ McCullough, who was basically arguing that there's a segment of people, and this is why I think this would be a cool topic to talk about, is there's a segment of people who, legitimately believe that the world is ran by like some pedophilic ring, right? And that they kind of want the Epstein debacle, per se, like to be more dramatic, right? Like, for example, like we got Prince Andrew, so we hadn't have to get like the Queen and the King, and it's like, and that the people, or this segment of people, want like this elaborate wing of all these very powerful people to be exposed,
like these conspiracy theorists.
Yeah,
that
like
want, waiting for like that big ticket to just expose everybody.
Yeah. But what's really interesting though is like at the same token, a lot of people want that kind of like elaborate scheme. I think that this is where I was going. Not to say that that we shouldn't know who obviously sexually assaulted all these minor women, right? But at the same token, it's like, what I feel like we should explore obviously what's going on. We should see who are on the tapes, because this man recorded everything. But it's like,
He was like, I need my
Yeah.
security on this.
yeah. But we also have to see, like, there were some people who legit just, you know, had him as like a business partner, right? So I think like they should just release, imagine they released all the tapes. Like, let's say obviously, like, you know, censored the parts that of like the minors and everything. But imagine they just like somebody just like on X, like the Epstein, you know how they have like the Twitter files,
Anonymous like hacked in
just
and got
bang
all
and
the
like
tapes.
here's because this man recorded. Have you ever seen the Netflix documentary on Epstein?
The Filthy Rich one.
It's scary.
I need to
It's
to
scary.
really catch up on all that. I've heard that like a lot of Netflix like documentaries or docu-series are actually like
They're
pretty
really good. So like the filthy money thing, if you want to like actually be spooked, because
Go on, Filthy Rich. Yeah.
Epstein believed he was untouchable. That this man had cameras in all of his properties, like literally like in walls, in paintings. Like this man recorded everything. And that what he would do, and this is what the documentary said, that what he would do is he would basically record you having sex with one of his, like, you know, what was like his basically like his sex slaves that were minors, right? That these were women that were like entrapped, they were trapped, they couldn't go anywhere, right?
Okay.
Now, regardless whether you knew that this was a minor or not, right? Most of them did, but he would have you do things, or he would have to come up to you and be like, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. And then you'd be like, no, because I'm X CEO or, you know, politician or whatever. And so go fuck yourself. Then he would go, okay, then I'm going to release this tape. And so you're kind of like under his control now. And then he would, you know, kind of like manipulate you. Not saying you know, this person is innocent by the, because yeah, they had sex with a minor, but that's how he grew his influence. And there was, do you know who Andrew Huberman is?
Yeah.
So Andrew Huberman
he's
was
a
on the Joe
neuroscientist, right?
Yeah, so Andrew Huberman was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and I forgot how they ended up on Epstein, but they ended up on Epstein, and Joe Rogan was saying, or Andrew Huberman was saying, that Epstein had a talent of getting rich people with scientists. So one of the main criticisms was like, well, why are all these scientists like super close to Epstein? Why are all these scientists super close to Epstein? And Huberman basically was arguing that these scientists need to fund their projects, and that the national grants are very hard to get, very limited, and they're time barred, right? Rather than going to a private philanthropist that can just say, oh, you need $1 million, here's $1 million. You need another million, here's another million, you know? And Epstein had a talent, this is Andrew Huberman talking, had a talent of connecting very intelligent scientists to very wealthy people, because wealthy people, and when we mean wealthy people, I'm talking like the top 1%. They don't know everything, but they like being surrounded by knowledge, right? They like being surrounded by, you know, people who are experts in, you know, DNA cloning or whatever, right?
Like I can always call upon someone with that knowledge.
And it makes them feel very important. Like Epstein knew how to make people feel important, right? So this is how he had so many, like, that's why like he had a photo with Elon Musk, or he had a photo with, you know, like Piers Morgan, or, you know, all these people that are like, oh, you know, just because you took a photo with Epstein means, you know, you're a pedophile. It's like, you know, just because Elon Musk had a photo with Ghislaine Maxwell, again, you know, even Elon was like, and I'm not even an Elon fan, he was like, I don't know who this woman was. I just took a picture with her, you know? So it's very weird to see on Twitter, like this like eagerness. This is where JJ McCullough was coming back to, like this eagerness for the drama per se, because there's also, these are like women's lives that were like destroyed by this horrible man who, and like, do you think he killed himself?
No.
Thank you.
He absolutely did not.
My grandma was probably like the only person on the planet who legit thought he killed himself. Like my grandma, like when that news story broke, my grandma was like, yeah, he was gonna like face life imprisonment, blah blah blah, and we're all looking at her like, you really think this man killed himself? You
He could have
really
easily
think,
bought himself out at any time.
but in the documentary Filthy Rich, they have the guy, I forgot what they're called, but the person who like inspects a dead body.
Yeah, they do the autopsy.
Yeah, the autopsy, and the guy was like, he was strangled to death. Like this guy was like, this
Yeah,
man
I remember that. He was like
strangled. This man was strangled. So I would really like to take like a deep dive into Epstein and kind of like, you know, I obviously have to do research when I get home after work, which is, you know, hard to do, but kind of like I would love to like do something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, kind of like, you know, take a deep dive into Epstein or like take a deep dive into like, I don't know, QAnon or something like, you know, but yeah. What would be one topic you would be super interested in if we were going to do something like that?
I mean, I've always been like a film and TV person, so I'd love to talk more about like working in my own fields or just like discussing like the industry or like how it impacts it or how it's changing nowadays. But that's more for me. Topics like the conspiracy stuff is really interesting, but I try to like I try to be like a little bit more comedic here and there.
Yeah.
Try to like, so like if we were to do that duo type thing, like the comic and the straight man routine, you'd be the straight man, and I'd be the guy just making fun of everything happening.
I wonder if we would be able to pull like some local comedian to be on our show.
Maybe
Like, how do you even find local comedians?
we
Like
just
social media?
we gotta go to the Manhattan Comedy Club. And then after their set, they walk away to go get a drink or something like that. And then we just really need to ham ourselves up as professionals. Like, yeah, we run a great show. Like, we wear sunglasses indoors.
Have you ever seen
Suits,
Have you ever seen The Wolf of Wall Street?
Of course,
And it's
yeah.
like when Jordan Belfort and Leonardo DiCaprio is selling like, I have this great company. It's worth, you know, it's on the cutting edge of aerospace design. It's just a shack.
Yeah.
It's like cuts to a shack in Ohio. Like that's gonna be us. We go up to this comedian. It's like, we have this great podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, where you guys located? Give him the address. Shows up. Is this a house? It's like, get on in. We're in the basement.
Yeah, come through the side door.
Come through the side door. It's late. Oh man, he's like, am I about to get murdered?
Yeah, that's what that's what I would like. I like to talk about that stuff, but I think that would be great. And I think just trying to find like interesting facts or things that like people don't know, and then like bringing them up, like, oh, did you know that this was actually a thing? Because I didn't. Like that kind of conversation. I would like to do that.
Maybe we can get Matt Rife. His career is kind of tanking.
Oh, because of what allegation hit him?
Oh, well, he's kind of like beefing with some 6-year-old. That's the last time I heard.
He's beefing with a 6-year-old.
So basically, you know who Matt Rife is, right?
Yeah, the comedian.
So for those who may not know, Matt Rife is like the latest comedian kind of blowing up on the algorithms. That's safe to say, right? Kind of like
Yeah, I know.
blowing up.
He had doesn't he get a special now or something?
Yeah, he has a special on Netflix. So basically, Matt Rife, just long story short, comedian that started off on Wild 'N Out, or not started off, but like kind of built his notoriety on Wild 'N Out. Then went on to become viral for doing crowd work. So crowd work, for those who may not know, is when a comedian kind of talks to the crowd and kind of like feeds off of the crowd. So Matt Rife, obviously a very good-looking man, you know, built, all, you know, tall, and he got a reputation for being like a woman's comedian, right? He wanted to break that. And so he had this Netflix special, and his whole special was just shitting on women. Like he did a hardcore 180, and all his women fans got upset and started to cancel him. And this insert the 6-year-old now. This is where the 6-year-old comes in. This mommy blogger got her 6-year-old son because basically Matt Rife did a joke along the lines of like, you know, these fat women can't get any rings, but Jupiter has a ring, right? Something along that line. I didn't see the special, so take it with a grain of salt. I was just reading articles about it, but that's just like kind of along that lines, right? So the 6-year-old, the son of a mommy blogger, right, goes, you know, actually Saturn is the only planet that has a ring, and Matt Rife hates women, and then that was the video. First of all, a lot of ethical concerns. Why are you putting your child on the internet for clout? That's just its own thing. Yeah. But Then Matt Rife comments, actually, Jupiter has Jupiter has a ring, which is true, and that your mom bought or Santa isn't real, and your mom bought all of your Christmas gifts with OnlyFans money.
Yes. Hell yeah.
And so then the mommy blogger, obviously chasing for clouds, goes, Matt Rife attacked my son who just wants to be an astronaut and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, everybody on Twitter was like, shut the fuck up. Like, you are just a clout chaser. You put your own child on the internet. Like, you're a clout chaser. And basically what last thing that happened was then Matt Rife made like an apology or something like that. So on his Instagram stories, like, please click this link for my apology for my offensive, Netflix special and all that. So if you click on it, it leads to a link for special needs helmets. So this man his career, I don't know if it's blowing up because he is selling out stadiums.
Why would that tank his career? That's hilarious.
I think it's because his prime demographic is women.
Oh, so now they're just being petty.
They're just being petty.
Yeah.
And he's trying, because he's not, like, as far as I know, because I don't really follow comedians. Like, I follow them on my YouTube shorts and all of that, but I don't really, what's the word? Like, I would go see a comedian, but I'm not into, like, the comedy space. So I only know the big names. And
I've been listening to a lot of comedy podcasts. They usually update their stuff every episode because they usually upload, like, every week or every 2 weeks.
yeah.
So if you want to, like, catch up, they'll usually just talk about, like, what they're doing for, like, a half an hour.
But I know that Matt Rife, though, Matt Rife got really upset at Dave Portnoy because Dave Portnoy was like, yeah, you do a lot of crowd work, right? Like, you do a lot of crowd work. And Matt Rife was like, yeah. Or like, no, I wouldn't say that. My comedy is a lot more, like, spread out. And Dave Portnoy is like, well, you blew up on YouTube over crowd work with women, right? And he's like, yeah. Like, he's the one criticism that Matt Rife, I think, legitimately has is he doesn't want to be seen as, like, basically, a woman's only comedian. He wants to, like, broaden his audience into more men. He wants to be a member of the boys, right? Like, he wants...
the larger the audience, the better for your career, I guess, right?
Yeah, but, like, you have, like, the boys comedians. Again, I'm not into the comedy sphere, so this is just subjective. But, you got, like, Joe Rogan, Dave Chappelle, Shane McGillis, Theo Von, like, these, like, the boys.
Yeah.
That Matt Rife wants a seat at the table with those comedians. Or Jim Carr is also another one of those. Like,
Carr, yeah.
Jim Carr is so hilarious. Talk about an edgy comedian. But yeah, so...
But he's got to go through his Drake phase.
Yeah. Certified lover boy. Like, so that's what's happening with Matt Rife, and maybe we can get him on our show. If you're listening to this, Matt Rife, come to our show. Defend yourself.
You could join our boys group.
You could be our boy. You could be our boy. But all right.
Lastly, for the drinks. Make your final comment, and then we're gonna call it.
Eggnog vodka.
Eggnog and vodka. Okay, interesting.
I'm paranoid because I hate vodka, and I say this every episode. But you and Mike are trying to poison pill me into liking vodka, and so I'm just second guessing every drink you make. I'm just saying vodka because I know that's like your go-to.
All right, this is eggnog. It's regular, like, store-bought eggnog, but it's mixed with the Frangelico that I had upstairs.
Oh, from the hazelnut?
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, shit. It's good.
So originally I wanted to mix it with Sambuca because I do have Sambuca in the house, and I was advised not to.
Why?
I was told, like, the type of liqueur that Sambuca has would react differently with, like, egg or cream compared, because, like, usually I always put Sambuca in my espresso shots, so it works better as a coffee liqueur, not a cream liqueur.
Interesting.
So that my family was telling me, like, no, put the Frangelico, it'll be 10 times better.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, all right, you want to avoid getting sick, so
For our problematic episode, we need to buy some grappa and just have that straight.
No, straight 100 proof shots of
Go
grappa.
blind. No, just drink straight Everclear. It's like, hey guys, we're gonna go blind for the pod. Like,
Just take 5 minutes to recover.
oh my gosh. And so, before we close, any final words for this season finale?
Honestly, I just want to say thank you to everyone that's listening.
Aww.
I just wanted to, I feel grateful for those that actually tune in, everybody that, from, friends and family alike to, random viewers on the internet that give us, constructive criticism, that tune in every year, that actually like the show. I just want to say thank you and, happy holidays and happy new year as well to everybody. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
And I just want to say ditto to that. Thank you for the continuous support. Share it with your friends. And again, don't be afraid to give us a comment or critique. You can blow me up for my hot takes, But I'm excited to see what season 2 brings. And I'm excited to take you guys along on this podcast journey. So,
yeah, hell yeah. All right.
Good season finale.
Good season finale. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. Whatever you guys celebrate. And Happy New Year. We hope to see you guys in the next one. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Spotify and all of our social media profiles for upcoming content. Thank you guys so much.
Peace.